Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Today let's look at a super powerful Mac keyboard shortcut that most users don't even know about. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 750 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So here's a keyboard shortcut that I think ranks right up there with Command Space to bring up the Spotlight menu or Command Tab to switch apps. It's the command to bring up the Help menu in the menu bar. But why would that be super powerful? How often do you actually need to look at the Help documentation on your Mac? Well, this command does much more than bring up documentation. Let's take a look at it. In order to trigger it, use the Command key and then Shift and then slash. Now it's easy to remember because it's basically Command question mark. Shift and slash are question marks. So I just remember Command question mark. Now you can see it brings up the Help menu. It's the only keyboard shortcut that brings up a function in the menu bar like this. And now you can type something. So for instance, let's type rename. Now you may look at it and say, well great, there's all the help topics so I can read about how to rename files on my Mac. But that's not the real power here. Forget about that stuff. Instead, look at the first item there. Menu items. And there's the rename menu item. Let's arrow down to that. And you can see with that selected it shows me that the rename command is in the file menu. So the first thing this does is it helps you find commands in the menu. So here I am in Pages and I can do the same thing here. The keyboard shortcut brings up the Help menu. And now I could search for any menu item. So I could just start typing and you can see how it narrows it down with each character. And then I could see the menu item that I want. I could arrow down to it. Now in addition to showing me where it is, I can now just hit return and it activates it. So I don't actually have to use the advice given here that it's under Format Font. I can just hit return and it will issue that command. So it does a bunch of different things for me here. First, it allows me to use just the keyboard to bring up a menu command. Second, it allows me to see where that command actually is so I can learn it. And also by doing that I could see that there's a direct keyboard shortcut for that. But that's not all. I could also use this to navigate the entire menu bar. So I could issue the command and then I could use the left and right arrows to go between all the menu items. Matter of fact, it even loops around. If I go to the right here it goes back to the Apple menu. And then when I get to a menu I can use the down arrow to go down. I can use the right arrow to go into a submenu and I can select what I want and then hit return or space and it will issue that command. Now there's another keyboard shortcut for getting into the menu bar and you can see that in System Preferences Keyboard Shortcuts under Keyboard here there's Move Focus to the menu bar. Usually Control F2 if you have it turned on. But it doesn't always work. It's always been a bit buggy and sometimes it doesn't actually bring you to the menu bar. Whereas Shift Command Slash always brings you up to the Help menu and then allows you to access the rest of the menu bar easily with the arrow keys. Now of course it's always going to be easiest to use the exact keyboard shortcut for the command you need. But in a complex app like say Numbers you can't possibly remember all of the keyboard shortcuts. So sometimes it's easier to do Command Space Slash and then start typing, find what you want and select that and then you can do what you want using just the keyboard without having to resort to moving your cursor up here, searching through the menus to find what you want. So Command Shift Slash does three things for you. It allows you to find menu items. You can then issue the command for that menu item right there in the Help menu. And you can use the arrow keys to navigate the entire menu bar. This makes it your go-to keyboard shortcut for doing anything, especially if you can't remember a specific keyboard shortcut for that exact command. Just do Command Shift Slash, type a couple characters, arrow down, hit return or space and you've done it without having to resort to using the mouse or trackpad to search around for that menu item. I publish new tutorials every weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. Then hit the little bell icon to get notifications for each new tutorial.